That was just a few days ago. As we speak right now, there were several world newspapers that carried this headline about the electronic skin tattoo. They say it has medical, gaming, and spy uses. And from Breitbart.com of August 13th, we read a hair-thin electronic patch that adheres to the skin like a temporary tattoo could transform medical sensing, computer gaming, and even spy operations, according to a U.S. study published, and this is last Thursday as we speak. The microelectronics technology, called an epidermal electronic system, EES for short, was developed by an international team of researchers from the United States, China, and Singapore, and it's described in the journal Science, which is the most prestigious scientific journal in the world today. Quote, "It's a technology that blurs the distinction between electronics and biology." Now, I find that very interesting because essentially this electronic skin tattoo is an electronic device that is thinner than a human hair that adheres to the skin without glue at the molecular level, and it's practically invisible once it's in place. You could put it here on your wrist, on the back of your hand, you can put it on your forehead, any place on the body, and it's capable of recording and broadcasting a number of different bodily functions, not to mention all of your vital numerical information, you know, your numbers, your identity, your name, etc. It's called the electronic skin tattoo. In fact, I have a diagram, and we'll put this on the screen a little bit later, and you can see on this diagram that tiny, practically microscopic elements, transistors, strain gauges, all kinds of circuits and photodetectors, temperature sensors are combined. They can report on your bodily status, not to mention your location, not to mention all of your vital statistics. I would call it a true candidate for the mark of the beast. That is, it could be used to track you, to follow you, and to give people instantaneous information about you, and enable you, as the Bible says, to buy or sell in the marketplace. And the way to obtain this electronic skin tattoo would be simply to swear allegiance to the beast empire. You know, we've talked before about the radio frequency identification tattoo that involves tattooing with invisible ink, but it would be picked up by a radio transponder. Nevertheless, this one, the electronic skin tattoo, carries that to the next level. This is capable of containing and transmitting a great deal more information.
And good morning, you guys. We are talking all about invisible ink that only shows up under a black light. Maybe you're not as bold as August, getting a whole sleeve. Why not have something that nobody can see until you're revealing it under the black light? We're going to talk about that coming up.
I believe all Canada had a place to make your tats invisible.
Hey, you guys, pictures of me that may be shocking to some viewers because they had no idea.
There's a heart with an arrow.
Check me out. Check me out. Check me out.
There's a lasting impression.
People don't know, but you too could get tatted up like that, but you only see it under black light. I know, it
There's
just
an
keeps getting
angel
worse.
of mercy
Yeah, good stuff. No, check it
on high.
out. You just don't.
There's
Now,
an
if
eagle
you are
with
a guy like August, and you can have a
fly.
job where you have all these tattoos,
There's a
and nobody really
tangible
judges you, that's all well and good.
you and
But let's say, you're a CPA. Let's say you're a clergyman. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something like that. And you want a tattoo that no one can see.
There's an
This is what you're going to get. It is a tattoo that's
tattoo.
lights, please. Under do you see this?
A lasting impression of it.
This image, courtesy of J. Rogers, University of Illinois, shows an epidermal electronic system created by an international team of engineers and scientists. A hair-thin electronic patch that adheres to the skin like a temporary tattoo could transform medical sensing, computer gaming, and even spy operations, according to a U.S. study published Thursday.
The goal was to develop an electronic technology that could integrate with the skin in a way that is mechanically and physiologically invisible to the user. The patch could be used instead of bulky electrodes to monitor brain, heart, and muscle tissue activity, and when placed on the throat, it allowed users to operate a voice-activated video game with better than 90% accuracy.
A team of scientists led by University of Illinois professor John Rogers has created a new, less intrusive way of gathering data from the human body. Unlike conventional equipment that hardwires patients to a stationary machine, the epidermal electronics, as they're called, attach to the skin in the same way you would attach a temporary tattoo.
Our thought was that if you could convert the electronics from the rigid, boxy form that it exists today into a format that looks like the skin in terms of mechanical properties, shape, stretchability, toughness, then you could almost make like a second skin that would laminate on the surface of the biological skin in a completely seamless, integrated fashion that would be essentially invisible to the user, but able to deliver all of this kind of new functionality through the skin. So the trick is, how do you go from a rigid silicon wafer-based type of electronics, which is the dominant form of electronics today, into an electronics that offers those same kind of performance or operating characteristics, but in the format of a tissue-like or skin-like form.
Researchers developed S-shaped circuits that can move with the skin, expanding, contracting, and twisting without affecting performance. Through this technology, the team has been able to demonstrate a variety of devices on the electronic platform, including EMG sensors, LEDs, and solar cells. Other demonstrations have shown the wearers controlling video games.
The kind of functioning systems that we demonstrated in this paper involve devices that can monitor brain function, so they laminate onto the forehead and they can monitor brain waves and determine certain aspects of brain activity.
So since the characteristic of our device is very similar with epidermis, if we cover it with conventional temporary tattoo, first of all, other people cannot see it. So it is very easy to wear. And since we are using wireless system, the patient or people can move and do normal life without any restriction.
We can recover high quality signals in this kind of skin-like epidermal system that are comparable to state-of-the-art conventional electrodes that involve bulky pads strapped to the skin. So the fidelity of the measurement is equal to the best existing technology that's out there today, but in this very unique skin-like form.
When you really envision a world in which every physical object can be numbered and tracked, a physical world in which people can be numbered and tracked, in which RFID implants can be put into individuals, or maybe even in babies at birth, and every move that we make can be identified and logged in a computer database, you begin to raise some very frightening questions, I think, about power.
Now, one thing I want to touch upon before we moved on is that there's two types of microchips. You have passive RFID chips, and then you have active RFID chips. Now the difference is that in a passive RFID chip, it doesn't need a battery. There's no battery in it. And what happens is that when a message is sent out to it by a scanner, then it wakes up the chip, and then the chip sends information back to it. So the chip actually gets its electricity from the scanner when it's scanned. Now the disadvantage of that is that the scanner has to be close, relatively close to the chip. So they use it now for like doctors and medical offices. There's people out there right now that actually have the chip. See, the chick in the video, she's talking like this is what they're gonna do, or this is what it may be used for. This is being used right now as we speak. So that's a disadvantage of a passive RFID chip. There's no battery in it, but the chip is cheap to make since there's no battery, and that's what's being used right now. But when they move on and they globally use this chip, because right now it's kind of like in experimental stages, they slowly breeding people and having them, convincing them that it's okay to use a chip. So right now it's kind of still in the experimental stages. They haven't forced it upon the people. But when they do, they're going to use something called an active RFID chip, because they need something that emits a strong enough wave that they can grab from their satellites. And that way they can track you wherever you're going, whatever you're doing. They can follow you. They know exactly your exact every move. Now, the main company that is producing these chips, or that's moving with this technology, is called a VeriChip. And they just acquired a company called Wireless EXI, I believe it's called. And this company, they specialize in wireless security and wireless technology. And the current project underway through this company is called ThermoLife. Now what ThermoLife does, it allows, the technology allows a device to have electricity or gather electricity from the fluctuation in a person's body temperature. So as your body temperature fluctuates up and down, it acts almost like a generator, and it provides electricity to the microchip. So the microchip actually turns you into like a cell tower, like your cell phone communicates with the tower. Well, you're going to communicate, or the chip inside of you will communicate with the satellites. And that's the advantage of of an active RFID chip. So that's what they're going to be implanting in human beings, all right? And that's what this technology is evolving to. But for us, for Hebrew Israelites, we're not to go near that stuff. We're not evolving into that with the rest of the world, because the rest of the world is going to be marked for destruction, all right? If you read Romans 12:2, it says not to be conformed to this world. So we're not going to take the RFID microchip, because if you read Revelation 13 and 14, it tells you clear cut what's going to happen, that the Most High is going to destroy your ass. All right, and that proves that Christianity, you got loonies out there saying Christianity is a mark of the beast, sleeping with white women, and whatever else. It proves that that stuff is not the mark of the beast spoken about in the Bible, because if that was the case, every last one of us would be dead right now. The Most High would have destroyed us all by now. And another point I want to bring out is that once they implant the whole entire globe with this chip, is they can know the exact number of men on the planet, which is another violation of the Most High's laws. So now they have the Georgia Guidestone, and according to the Georgia Guidestone, they want to decrease the population by 2/3. So in order for them to do that and to maintain that numbers, they're going to have to know exactly how many people are on the earth. And with this chip, they can basically produce an inventory of exactly how much merchandise they have out there. And every single so-called newborn child that's delivered into this world is going to be inserted with an RFID microchip. And if you decide to try to go against the law, let's say you insert the microchip and you say, you know what, you decide, okay, now I want to repent because the Most High said not to do it. Well, guess what? The microchip bonds with the tissue in your body, so you can't remove it. You're going to have it surgically removed. And besides that, if they have any inkling that you're trying to remove the chip, they can hit a button and the chip could kill you just like that.